Hi, I'm Alan Pellegrini, CEO for Thales North America. I'm very pleased to participate in this year's Aviation Summit. In past years, I've used this time to discuss technologies that are impacting commercial air travel, including biometrics, data analytics, and broadband passenger connectivity. But today I'd like to speak with you about an issue of growing importance, and that issue is aviation infrastructure. We all know that our nation's air traffic management system is an essential component of our overall transportation network. And for more than 100 years, it has helped to ensure safe air travel. Yet when people think about aviation infrastructure, it's airports and runways that usually come to mind because these are the things we see every time we fly. But for those of us in aerospace, and those of us who have piloted aircraft, we know that the systems we rely on are largely unseen. This backbone is an extensive network of safety-critical ground-based facilities, systems and technologies that guide every aircraft in the sky. And unfortunately, it's an infrastructure that is becoming quite old. The importance of renewing this equipment has caught the attention of many industry players. And I'm very pleased to announce that just this morning, a new advocacy group called the Ground-Based Aviation Infrastructure Coalition was launched. Thales, along with the other members of the coalition, are fighting for the rapid modernization of this important infrastructure to strengthen the resilience of the aviation system. If you ask why this is so important, consider that much like many of our bridges and waterway systems in the U.S., the ground-based air navigation critical infrastructure is very old and increasingly in need of replacement. Over the last 20 years, the FAA has been heavily focused on the implementation of NextGen to enable more efficient flight operations in the national airspace. This is certainly a worthy objective. But to fund NextGen, aviation infrastructure investments were substantially reduced from historic levels. Estimates suggest that capital investments in new infrastructure have declined 30%, while operations and maintenance costs have risen 12% in inflation-adjusted dollars. As an example of the aging issue, today, nearly 50% of the instrument landing systems operating are 1970s era technology. That's 50 years, which is a long time for any system, especially those that enable aircraft to safely land in all weather conditions. Concerningly, an FAA briefing last fall indicated that other safety-critical systems may need to be in operation for more than 80 years before being upgraded. Simply put, these systems were not designed for such long lifespans. If we expect to maintain an aviation system that is affordable and reliable, we must prioritize and, importantly, fund aviation infrastructure investments to allow the United States to continue to have the safest aviation system in the world. Globally, ANSPs systematically modernize their equipment by the end of its life cycle to control operations and maintenance costs while maintaining safety. We can find examples of this in Australia, France, Italy, Singapore, South Africa, and the UK, as well as our neighbors in Canada and Mexico. I submit this is the type of modernization best practice that we need to implement here in the United States. Setting the example, the U.S. Department of Defense just completed a multi-year infrastructure modernization of the navigation systems for all of its air bases. But this is not enough, as the U.S. continues to fall behind in renewal of aviation infrastructure used by commercial aircraft. That is why we believe this issue can no longer be put off, and we must modernize with a target that the average age of our ground-based infrastructure is reduced to less than its design lifetime by 2030. This is a reasonable goal and will not only improve the aviation system's resilience, but also come with other tangible benefits. It will help restore American industry and add jobs. It will strengthen the aviation system's resilience and safety. It will ensure long-term cost savings with equipment that is less expensive to maintain. And finally, it will help cut carbon emissions. With COVID-19 having fundamentally disrupted both the aviation industry and the economy, now is the time to reassess long-standing aviation infrastructure investment priorities and to fund critical projects. Accelerating a long overdue cycle of modernization is essential. That is why we advocate that any federal infrastructure package include provisions to address this critical segment of aviation. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this conference.